Let's talk about the quantum superposition. What is the quantum superposition? So, the first thing, when you think about the quantum world, is completely different than the classical physics. When you think about yourself as a solid form that you can touch, you can think it's real. At the same time, when you zoom yourself in quantum level, for example, you zoom the fundamental position of you, and you will see yourself as an atom. So in technically, it's also true that you are that atom too, because you made of that atom. So you cannot deny that you are not an atom. You're not made of the atom. At the same time, if you are the atom, at the same time, if you zoom your computer, your cell phone, anything, any object in the universe, if you zoom in the scale of the atom, you will find the atom, the same thing that you are made of. So in technically, yourself and the cell phone made with the same thing, which is the atom. So that means you, the fire, the water, and everything exists in the universe is the same thing. The air, everything. So if everything is the same thing, what makes you feel different? If everything is the same thing, then why we calling yourself is different? Like you are calling yourself as solid and you are made of the atom. At the same time, you're calling the water as liquid, but the liquid itself made with the same thing, the atom. So that means in a different point of view, both are the same thing, but in a different point of view, you are become the solid and the water is the liquid, but both is the same thing. So the same reason when we say that you are at the same time solid, but at the same time you are also a wave function. You are not solid at the same time, just like the light. So the light itself is behaving like a wave, just like the solid thing. So the real proof come out when there is an experiment happen with we call it the double slit experiment. So what does it here? What happened? The double slit experiment actually behaving when there is like the light itself is when you putting the light we know the light is a particle itself, right? Light is not something, it's a matter itself. So the matter has no weight. This is a different type of matter. We call it the photon. So it's a light. So we know if the light is something called a matter, then when the light goes to the double slit two hole, and then when the light entered between the two hole, so on the outside it will be only like the same light we should see, but the other side we see the light is actually behaving like a water, like a liquid waveform. It's surrounding everywhere. So but when we see there is like a solid form, when you put it there, and then you see the solid form is becoming only two things, right? But at the same time, when there is no observer, it's become like a wave function. So I mean, it's hard to explain it directly by saying. If you have to understand the concept of the double slit experience, you can search on YouTube, and many people will explain you by the animation. So this is what I mean. There is a quantum world, that the quantum world itself saying that both things exist at the same time. You are you are wave, you are atom, and you are solid, which is you, both at the same time. In a quantum level, you are the atom, you are the just like an energy, just like the all the other thing. But in the different world, I mean different point of view, you are yourself at the same time, both at the same time. Okay. So the problem happen is the quantum superposition. The quantum superposition means like the the atom or the energy can exist in anything. It's not necessary that it really have to be that. Okay, so it can be anything. So what I mean by that is, if you put the apple in the box, it can be any possible combination. Like the apple, the atom can be um, like can be a watch, can be your cell phone at the same time, because in quantum randomness it can be anything. But we always see, when we open the box, we always see the apple because it decoherence the quantum things. Like there is always observer. When there is an observer, it collapse and it become what was before. It turn like again what was before. It collapse just the time when there is an interference. Observer means any type of interference, like anything with that function. So that's why we see there is always collapsing, right? So you may ask that the moon, we always see the moon all the time, but why not, if this is an atom, it made of the atom, then why not we see there's something else? Who decide that to become a moon, instead of, like, if it's the randomness, if the quantum world is a random, then it should be tomorrow it should be an watermelon, it become an watermelon. But we didn't see, we always see that as a moon all the time. It's just because the environment is an watcher, the environment collapsing the moon all the time before it become random, the environment contradicting, like connecting with the moon, so it collapse all the time. This is the reason we always see the moon as moon. We don't see any randomness. Just like we know the moon itself become moon from the quantum superposition in a random state, right? It become like a random and it become the moon. But because of the observer, it collapsing back to the moon all the time. But my question is, if that the quantum randomness become the moon, then who was the first observer who decide, who is the first observer that the reason it's stuck with the moon, it's stuck with that randomness? Because the environment, if you say the first thing is an environment, but before the environment created by the environment itself, right? When there is no environment, like nothing, that time, who's the first thing, the first blockage of that, in I mean decoherence, that yeah, this is the first thing, the random thing happened from the Big Bang. So the first observer, um, the first thing that the universe thinks, yeah, this is already stuck with it. I mean, I become the object. For example, any solid object you can imagine. So who is the first reason to be there if there is nothing? So who is the first supernatural observer when there is nothing? And then if you imagine without the God, then imagine there was like always existence, everything. Okay, fine. Just the time I mean, the Big Bang happened, and then the space itself become exist. The space was there was no space, there was no time, and the time it's represent a movement. When there was no nothing, then there was no time. So we see the space itself created. So the question is, when the first thing happened, who decide to be what to be? The first randomness, right? The first randomness, the quantum physics. When it collapse, I mean, when it's like explode, who is the first watcher? Like the environment watch itself? And then you see I mean, imagine that there is like 10 environment, like 10, the environment like in universe, imagine just for example, like imagine the universe made of like 10 atom, imagine. So imagine the one atom like three atom become something, and the other atom are watching the three atom, and the three atom consisted back to itself, and it become what it is. Okay, but at the same time it's very complicated to think, because if environment is the decision, is the first observer of it, then the environment itself is watching himself. That's why it's very complicated to say that the environment is become the observer of the universe. So that's why if you see that the universe is the observer itself, then how is that possible for universe to become so precise and then so precisely random that, yeah, I saw you, you are moon, and it's so precise, right? If it's random, you see the size of the moon, the position of the moon, the way it's rotating, the way it's everything, it's very precise, and just the reason the universe has become a part of the universe, like how it working. If you know the fine tuning, which said that any time, I mean, it's very precisely accurate, the universe, the accuracy, it's very precise. The gravitational force, the dark energy, and everything, it's very precise. So this is what it is, that if the universe itself is making himself watching the universe, like, yeah, I see that as a moon, the randomness become randomness and it become moon, and I see the moon. So it's not possible theoretically, because it's who's the first one to decide to what to be. And the reason the fine tuning is so accurate, so that's why it's not possible to be everything randomly, I mean accurate, randomly accuracy. So that's why we think that there is different supernatural intelligence out there who decided to, and like the accuracy, and like the constant of the thing, what is we call it a random superposition, who decided like what to be, how to be, you know. So that's why the quantum superposition, the first observer, the first I mean block of the I mean lock, he locked that thing, how the proton should be behave and everything, like so precise. So this is the reason I believe that there is something else behind it, who make it exist, who make it, um, you know, like who make it to stop that as a definition. Yeah, this is gonna be the star. This is how it's gonna be moving, how it's gonna be everything gonna work, all the laws. So it's not possible to be random accuracy, like that type of accuracy. If you think about the DNA and everything, so it's gonna, but I mean, very complex data. So if it's random, then it's not possible to be random because the data itself is very complex, you know. So that's it, like the reason, the superposition. I know it's a bit confusing when you heard it the first time, a little bit of confusing. I mean, when the question come out the first time in my mind, that if the moon is become a moon, who's the first observer to decide to be moon? Okay, who's the first observer? If the environment is the observer, then why environment is stop that quantum superposition at the state of like very accuracy, and to decide, yeah, this is gonna be the perfect randomness state, so let's keep it. So who's the first one to lock that superpositional state at the very accuracy state, just how the whole universe is working? So I hope you understand a bit of it. I mean, I'm not in that details. I hope this is a bit a touch of it. I'm gonna come up with a different one, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to mean about the quantum superposition. My main point is, who is the first one to decide the first the first randomness if there is nothing beyond the natural thing. So you understand what I mean? So what I mean by that, imagine there is nothing, okay? There is nothing. Just imagine. Just the moon. Imagine there is nothing. The universe is not, I mean, before the Big Bang and stuff like this. Nothing. There is nothing, nothing, nothing. And only thing is the moon, okay? So, but the moon is not become moon yet. It's in the quantum superposition, okay? So if that is the quantum superposition state, it can be anything. It can be moon, it can be watermelon, it can be a cow, anything. But just because in quantum randomness, it's have an infinite possibility, it become a moon and it's stuck in the moon. But my question is, to stuck in there, to stuck in to be a moon, there should be an observer. There should be an observer because we know the quantum randomness only stuck in a superposition, in a super randomness infinite combination, and only stuck when there is an observer. Already see when there is an observer, and then the moon happened, and just because of the observer, it stuck with the randomness, and it stuck, and it become a moon, and it never come back to a different thing because it's already been observed to be a moon, and it's not collapsing to a different one, like not a watermelon, because still there is an observer, right? So my question is, if there was no observer, the first state of randomness, if there was no observer, if you think the universe itself become the universe, then if there's a universe, it's in the random quantum state, infinite quantum random superpositional state. If there was no observer, what is the reason he himself stopped without the observer? It must be an observer to stop that in a quantum randomness. So that's why without an observer, you cannot say the the randomness stop itself, because there is no reason to stop. It's gonna be infinite possible combination all the time, it's never gonna change. It's only gonna change when there's an observer, and just because of the observer, it will be stuck in there, and it never gonna collapse again, because the observer is keep watching, and it's collapsed back to the same one what was the observer was saw. This is how the quantum world works. If you don't believe in me, you go and search how quantum world works. So if the quantum world works like this, my question is, without an observer, what is the reason why the universe stuck with that quantum superpositional state? You understand what I'm trying to say? So this is the first point. There is must be an observer beyond the universe when there was nothing in a when the universe in a quantum state, a superpositional state. There must be a super beyond the universe who actually stop the quantum in an accuracy, a very precise accuracy, that where should we stop the randomness? Infinite, between the infinite possibility, the observer stopped there, and then it stuck with the a very accuracy state, and every single thing is very precise, and just how the whole universe pattern exists. And it's not even just a random way. It's not even just like a random, like, yeah, this is gonna be random, this is gonna be a little bit, if the universe is random, just like that, then maybe there would be some point is not logical. There would be, the universe would be, somewhere is like precise, somewhere is not precise, because it's random. Because and behind it, there's no designer. So it would be random anything. So it would be a flaw in the universe. But we know the universe is very precise and very details and accuracy, just like how the universe is working. And if it's random, so randomness is not gonna be like, one by one, and it's become superposition. Like it's the universe never happened like just infinite time. It's just one time, and by the one time, it's very accuracy. You understand what I'm trying to say? So the just like the, if you even imagine yourself without a creator, like yourself, just like your eye, just like you are talking, it's very obvious, and it's enough to convince yourself to be with a precise designer that behind it, to precise accuracy, just like your hand, just like your DNA, just like your fingerprint and everything. To be that way, it must have a precise designer who used the perfect combination, the perfect accuracy. And this is the reason. If the universe itself becoming, it's just not possible, right? It is not possible, because we can clearly see the writing stuff. The writing stuff, like design, already exists. How precisely designed the universe, how amazing your DNA structure, like the DNA holding all the information. How is that possible? How is that possible that DNA is holding a complex, how accuracy the complex is, you will be surprised if you study about the DNA. So the DNA is holding all the things, is kind of like a written, like a binary position, just like a computer language works. So it's wrote all the things how you would be like a binary position. And the command from the DNA, your body read, and your body, governs from the written read. They read by the DNA. So if you see that universe itself written, how is that possible? I hope I hope you understand the reason of there is a must be, there's a God who is behind the universe, because universe itself never created himself, right? It must be a cause and the reason to govern how it should be. Yeah. So this is for today episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully comment your thought about it, what you think about that. I would be very happy to see your comment. And if you like the video, just like, give it a thumbs up, and thanks for watching.